What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some expectations for this upcoming week, what might cause some volatility in the stock price, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off with macro data, Monday we don't really have that much coming out, so it's going to be more of a technical slash reflection day. So the market's going to be really thinking about what has happened the last several trading days, as well as what could potentially happen. Tuesday, we have JOLT numbers as well as ADP, the weekly. So that has really proven itself that it can move the market. So just watch for a lot of volatility. And then I'm sure on Tuesday during power hour, there will be a little bit more profit taking as last minute jitters associated to on Wednesday, the interest rate decision. So going into this upcoming week, there is a 86.2% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. So I think generally the market's largely priced that in as of last Thursday, sorry. But what Powell says afterwards, that's going to be really moving the broader market, because he's going to be kind of talking on what is next, what he's going to be really looking for, how the labor market is kind of fitting within his plan and mentality. So that's going to be really moving the broader market. On Thursday, we have initial jobless claims, and then Friday, we have a lot of Fed speakers. Companies unveiling the earnings, nothing really crazy that's going to impact the broader market. So it is going to largely come down to macro data points. Nothing really planned specific to Lucid, so no fireside chats, no interviews or anything like that. The last 5 days, Lucid did finally stop the bleed, so it did go up 1.67%, so pretty good stuff. So a lot of people are going to be really looking for that to continue to move higher. Of course, Friday did get hit quite hard. It went down 5.16%, largely because of this right here. So this kind of very negative review of Lucid, and hopefully Lucid actually does reach out to this individual, not to silence them, but rather to improve upon themselves. Because yeah, this individual has 4.16 million subscribers. And this is honestly, I would much rather watch this than one that kind of looks paid. Way too many people like that kind of stuff. So I think in general, a lot of the things that he did bring up should be easy patches, just software updates and whatever else. So I feel like that's something that Lucid can easily improve on. So there's that really took Lucid down on Friday. As far as what is expected for this upcoming week, like I said, nothing for interviews or fireside chats. They do have a pop-up tour that's in Austin. So that is between December the 19th and January the 11th. So that's the next thing. So this upcoming week, it doesn't look like they're really doing anything. Hopefully, their marketing team behind the scenes has already started to plan for this. So this is kind of new information somewhat. So the groups were unveiled, even though technically the games were already scheduled at certain stadiums and so forth. But now Lucid can really try to target. They don't have to actually do crazy marketing because maybe that's not within their budget, but they could easily do within, let's say, a mile or 2 miles away from the stadium, just do a damn pop-up. That's all you need to do. It's not just set up a tent, say, hey, look, come check this out, schedule for a test drive, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like if Lucid, if they were smart, that's something that they should already start planning ahead of time. Of course, Lucid hasn't alluded to any of that during any of their existence in any of their previous earnings. They've never mentioned that. So hopefully that's something that they can actually do. But nonetheless, going into this upcoming week, 14.5% of the free float is being shorted, works to be 44.7 million shares overall being shorted. Friday, shorts did return 664,000 shares, but looking at the options, you do see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 1450 to 15. So a lot of good optimism is starting to come back into Lucid. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 12 to 1250. So I think some of that isn't really specific to Lucid. I'm sure some of that bearishness is based on Powell, because even though technically the market's somewhat priced in a 25 basis point cut, and there's a 86% likelihood of that cut occurring, Powell could still come out and be like, hey, you know what? Because of the whole government shutdown, I don't have enough data to make blah, blah, blah X decision, and we're not going to cut this time around. Market will freak the hell out if that does occur. So in my opinion, that's where kind of the bears are coming from. They're anticipating Powell to really let the market down and prompt a sell-off. So could potentially happen on a side note. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. The only thing as well on Monday, especially with it being more of a technical / reflective day, that I'm going to be watching for is institutions buying. So these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000, and you only had 2 buys, one for $602,000, other one for $181,000. So a lot of institutions were selling, largely because of, like I said, this. So I'm going to be looking for maybe some institutions actually be buying Lucid into this upcoming week, be a little bit more optimistic. But as I mentioned, with it being more of a technical driven day on Monday, with it right now at 1342, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 1318 is going to be a key support. You really want to watch for Lucid to hold. If not, then you will be seeing 1259 as the next strong support, aside from 1222. If, for whatever reason, institutions decide that Lucid sell-off on Friday was unjustified and decide to start buying, 1377, 14, and then 1473 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. Aside from all of that, though, on the actual chart, so on Friday, it was able to still hold above that 10-day moving average. So even though Lucid consolidated, it's not down and out, in my opinion. So a little bit of consolidation happened exactly in September as well, when it went on this very epic run from about $15 to $25, $24. And so you did have several consolidation days. So in my opinion, I think AI and algorithmic trading is really going to continue to push Lucid higher, similar to what happened in this type of price action. There really hasn't been that much in articles coming out associated to Lucid. So as I've mentioned, I think just everyone and their dog is just simply waiting for Lucid to hit their numbers. And so I think everyone's just going to be pretty much holding their breath. As I've alluded to, if they do miss on their earnings, then around their numbers don't hit the 18,000, then yeah, anticipate quite the pullback. But you do see a little bit more willing buyers on Friday. So all Lucid needs is that nice gentle push, some institutional buying, and then it could get back into that $14 plus range. So in my opinion, this upcoming week, Powell will most likely cut the 25 basis points and probably be a little bit more cautious on January. So that might cause the market to be somewhat neutral / slightly positive. So I do feel by the end of the week, we will be closing between this R2 and this R1. So nothing crazy significant, still moving at least in the right direction, but nothing significant in my opinion. So between that 1414 and 1377. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Where do you realistically see things going? One final thing, if you are looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my stacked account. I actually just put out Lucid as a buy signal at the low 13s, and I gave a price prediction. So definitely pop over there and take a look. Just for this weekend alone, I actually did lower the price of this. So my buy alerts, I dropped it from $55 down to $20. Just for this weekend alone, I'm only accepting 150 individuals. Currently I have 103. So definitely, if you're looking for some solid buy signals, pop over and check that out. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.